Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Pastor David, and I'm glad to get to visit with you today. I want to give you a little devotional thought out of Philippians chapter 4. But first, I would like to just rehearse together. What a wonderful weekend we had. The ladies had a great ladies' breakfast. If you missed that, ladies, they're going to resume that once a month. First Sunday of each month. The men are the first Saturday of each month. The men are the last Saturday of each month with our breakfast. We had a great time at church Sunday. Team Jeff, we have two worship teams now, Team David and Team Jeff, and the worship was wonderful. Love the songs. I believe Reckless Love is always one of our favorites. And of course, Miss Stephanie and R2D2 took us on the CCMP Luxury Airlines, and that was pretty cool. So I hope you'll watch for that part of the service this Sunday. And we met the Doring family, Mike and Anna Doring and their kids, missionaries to the Dominican Republic. Had a great time. He brought a great message, a really concise little package of what missions is, how it works within the church. And so I hope you got to hear the Dorings. If you didn't get to attend, be sure you watch our services. You can see them on the Movement and our Facebook page. We post them Sunday evenings, and so make sure if you're not able to be here physically that you're able to check them out. This Saturday is, you probably heard a few weeks ago that some of our people got together and they painted a house. Well, we're going to finish up that place. We've got done some power washing, and we're going to finish up that paint. So if you want to paint this Saturday, come help us finish up this house. It's a lot of fun with the guys. These guys are a little crazy, so we have a good time. Dale Seeley is kind of running that project for us, so you check on the Movement if you'd like to help us paint. And I want to talk to you today about a passage from Philippians 4. Now, Sunday morning, Mike brought a message to us from Philippians chapter 4. And I was sitting there and I was looking at verses 10 through 20, which was his passage, and I went ahead and read the first 9 verses. And I thought, wow, what a passage. So I've gone back to Philippians chapter 4, just a small portion of Philippians 4, verses 5 through 9, and I want to talk to you about that today. Now I want to ask you a question. And this is a trite question. You probably hear this a lot, but I want to ask you, how are you doing? You ever have anybody ask you that? Sometimes people ask me that, and I'm like, wow, thank you for asking. Sometimes people ask me, and I'm like, well, why are you prying? I'm fine, okay? I'm fine, and maybe I'm not. So I want to ask you a question today. How are you doing? How are you doing with all of the things that are going on in our, some tough things. This is not an easy time. A lot of our church families are not working. Or maybe they weren't working for a while because of the pandemic. Or maybe they've lost their jobs because they were not deemed essential. The school situation is a challenge. Many kids will be at home having school virtually. It's scary. It's risky. The racial unrest with the things that are going on in our country. How are you doing? Well, here's Philippians 4. And the theme seems to be in verses 5 through 9. He's talking about peace. 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 And I hope that I hope you have peace right now, today. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of questions. We don't want to overkill that, but I just want you to know that God's Word says that there's peace. And we can experience peace. So I want to talk to you about that. And here's kind of how, a little formula that we have from Paul in his letter to the Philippians, the church at Philippi. And he says this, and we'll start with verse 5. Let your moderation be known unto all men, the Lord is at hand. And so, how to have peace? Number 1, he says in verse 5, be gentle. You want to have peace? Be gentle. Let your moderation, that word moderation means gentleness. And watch this, verse 5 of Philippians 4. Let your gentleness be known unto all men. Wonder what you're known by. Wonder if we ask people about you, describe you, wonder if they would say, that's a gentle person. They're gentle and kind and peaceful and meek and loving. Or would they say, wow, they're they're a hothead, or they have a short fuse, or they're mean and they're unkind. Paul says, let your gentleness. So, number 1, be gentle. Number 2, in verse 6, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto God. First of all, be gentle. Secondly, be careful. He says in verse 6, be careful for nothing. You know what that means? That means don't be anxious, don't be stressed, don't be nervous about things. Be careful to not be anxious. So, first of all, be gentle. Secondly, be careful. Thirdly, verse 7, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds through Christ. Be peaceful. Be gentle, be careful, be peaceful. Wow. It almost seems like that's the opposite of what a lot of people in our society are today. You know, people are being loud, being obnoxious, being hateful, being selfish. But God said, if you want peace, be gentle, be careful, be peaceful. And then verses 8 and 9, and I'll close with these. Listen to this. Finally, he's closing. Finally, my brothers, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. He says in verse 8, be thoughtful. A lot of things in our life are the way that we manage our minds. What do you think about? Are you preoccupied by all this violence and unrest? Is that what you think about? Paul said, think about these things. Be thoughtful. Think on these. And then lastly, verse 9, those things which ye have heard and learned and received, seen in me, do. And the God of peace shall be with you. Be obedient. And here's what he says in verse 9. All of this stuff you've heard. You've heard it. Now do it. He says in verse 8, think. He says in verse 9, do. Apply. Practice. The things you've heard, just do it. Nike said that many years ago. Just do it. Paul said, listen, guys, y'all know what's right. Y'all know you're supposed to be gentle and be careful and be peaceful. You know that. Now, in verse 9, just do it. And the God of peace will be with you. Do you need peace in your life right now? In the midst of all of this turmoil? Then do the things that we've heard. Perhaps you've heard it all your life. You've been in church. You've read the Bible. You've heard the preacher. Are you practicing? Are you applying what you know to be true? Peace. Be gentle, be careful, be peaceful, be thoughtful, and be obedient. My prayer for you today, in the midst of all of this stuff, is that God would give you peace. Because peace, you can't go buy it at the store. It's invaluable. We can get through life no matter how difficult if we have the peace of God in our hearts. So I'm praying for you to have that peace. If you don't have a place to go Sunday, 9:30 or 11 o'clock, you come visit us here at the mill. We would love to see you. I'm praying for you. I'm saving you a seat, and I hope I'll see you this Sunday.